The wheel is one of the most fundamental and revolutionary inventions in human history. It is thought to have first appeared in Mesopotamia around 5,500 years ago, around 3,500 BC. Initially, it was originally conceived as a spinning disc used for making pottery. Over time, however, this idea of a spinning disc was used in vehicles and transportation systems. Thanks to the wheel, the transportation of heavy loads became much easier and faster. People were able to cover distances in less time by making carts pulled by animals such as horses or oxen. This enabled trade, communication, and cultures to spread. Writing is one of the most important inventions in human history because it made it possible to transmit knowledge across generations. It was developed by the Sumerians in Mesopotamia around 3200 BC. Initially, cuneiform writing emerged, using symbols to keep records of trade and agriculture. As societies became more complex, the invention of writing enabled the establishment of legal orders, the keeping of historical records, and the accumulation of cultural knowledge. In this way, people were not limited to oral communication, but were able to make their thoughts permanent. The printing press is an invention that revolutionized the spread of knowledge and culture. It was developed in the 15th century by Johannes Gutenberg in Germany. Previously, books were handwritten and only a few people could read them, so access to information was very limited. Gutenberg's printing press was a system using movable metal letters. With this method, large numbers of books could be printed quickly and economically by using letters that had been prepared once, over and over again. This reduced the cost of books and made it possible for a wider audience to learn to read and write. The steam engine is one of the most important drivers of the Industrial Revolution. First steam engines were developed by Thomas Newcomen in the early 18th century, but became much more efficient with improvements made by James Watt. This machine converted water into steam, enabling high-pressure steam to create motion energy. This reduced the need for human and animal power. Steam engines accelerated production processes in factories and increased the number of factories. The electric light bulb is one of the most fundamental inventions of modern life. Developed by Thomas Edison in 1879, the first practical and long-lasting electric light bulb completely changed the way we light up at night. Previously, people lit up with kerosene lamps, candles, or torches, methods that were both dangerous and inefficient. Edison designed a glass bulb with a vacuum inside using carbon filament. This design allowed electricity to heat the filament to produce light, allowing it to burn for a long time. The invention of the electric light bulb made nightlife possible, not only in homes, but also in factories, streets, and public spaces. This led to longer working hours, increased safety, and changed social life. The telephone is one of the groundbreaking inventions in human communication. Developed in 1876 by Alexander Graham Bell, the first working telephone enabled voice to be converted into electrical signals and transmitted over cables. This was the first time in human history that people who could not see each other could talk instantly. Before the invention of the telephone, letters, telegraphs, or messengers were used for long-distance communication. These methods were either too slow or limited. The telephone revolutionized communication, especially in business and emergencies. The first telephones were only connected by a cable between two devices. Over time, switchboards, dial phones, and then wireless systems were developed. Today, this technology has merged with cell phones and internet-based applications to form a global communication network. The car is one of the most important inventions that form the basis of modern transportation. The first practical automobile was developed by German engineer Carl Benz in 1886. This vehicle, called the Benz Patent Motorwagen, had a gasoline-powered internal combustion engine and 3 wheels. Until then, people traveled long distances in horse-drawn carriages or on foot. The invention of the car revolutionized personal transportation. People could now travel faster, more comfortably, and more independently. Over time, automobiles became widespread and mass production began, especially the production of the Ford Model T, which Henry Ford started in 1908, transformed the car from a luxury into a vehicle accessible to everyone. This accelerated urbanization, roads, and infrastructure developed. The airplane is one of the greatest inventions that made the idea of flying, which humanity has dreamed of for centuries, a reality. The first successful powered flight was made by the Wright brothers in the USA on December 17, 1903. This primitive airplane, named Flyer, could only stay in the air for 12 seconds, but it became a turning point in history. Until then, people could only take off in balloons or gliders for short periods of time. Thanks to the fixed-wing, motorized and controllable airplane developed by the Wright brothers, controlled flight became possible for the first time. With World War I, aircraft technology developed rapidly, and civil aviation was born, transforming transportation on a global scale. Today, thousands of people travel across continents every day, profoundly affecting the world economy, tourism, and international relations. The computer is an invention that has revolutionized modern life with its information processing and computing power. The first computers appeared in the mid-20th century. ENIAC, developed in the 1940s, was the first electronic general-purpose computer, powered by thousands of vacuum tubes and the size of a room. Initially, it was used only for scientific calculations and military purposes. But as technology advanced, computers became smaller, faster, and more accessible. With the development of microchips in the 1970s, the personal computer revolution began. Thanks to companies such as Apple, IBM, and Microsoft, computers entered homes, offices, and educational institutions. With the widespread use of the internet, computers have become indispensable for accessing information, communicating, working, and having fun. Television is one of the most influential inventions that revolutionized mass communication by transmitting image and sound simultaneously. Its foundations were laid in the 1920s. The first successful television broadcast was made by American inventor Philo Farnsworth in 1927. This was the first time in history that a live image was transmitted on a screen. Initially only in black and white, televisions became in color from the 1950s onwards. Initially broadcasting for a few hours, channels that broadcast 24 hours a day gradually emerged. Television enabled people to follow the world from their homes. News, movies, TV series, sports matches, and educational content could reach millions at the same time. In this way, television became both a source of information and a means of entertainment. It also had the power to shape public opinion on political and social events. The camera is a groundbreaking invention that revolutionized the way we record memories and reality. It is based on the principle of the camera obscura dark box developed by Ibn al-Haytham in the 11th century. In this system, light would enter a box through a small hole, and the image outside would be reflected in reverse on the inner surface. However, this image could only be viewed, not recorded. The first permanent photograph was taken in 1826 by the French inventor Joseph Nic. He fixed the image by applying photosensitive chemicals on a tin-plated plate. In the following years, Louis Daguerre developed the daguerreotype method, which allowed clearer and faster photographs to be taken with silver plates. In the 20th century, film cameras became widespread, followed by digital cameras. Now, we can take and view photos instantly and share them on social media within seconds. The mechanical clock is an important invention that radically changed the way we measure and manage time. The first mechanical clocks were used in churches and towers in Europe in the 13th century. These clocks worked by means of weights and gears and revolutionized the accurate display of time. Previously, time had to be measured by the position of the sun or by water clocks, but these methods depended on weather conditions and were not accurate. Thanks to the mechanical clock, people were able to plan their daily lives, trade, and travel more precisely. Over time, clock technology evolved into pocket watches, wristwatches, and digital clocks. Today, tools for measuring time are indispensable in every aspect of our lives. A thermometer is a basic scientific instrument that allows us to measure temperature. The first thermometers were developed in Italy in the late 16th century. The scientist Galileo Galilei designed a simple temperature meter with an air balloon that changed according to the density of the liquid. But the first real thermometer was made by the Italian physicist Santorio in 1612. Modern liquid thermometers are based on the principle that a liquid expands as the temperature increases. Thermometers play a critical role in temperature measurement in medicine, meteorology, and science. From taking your temperature to monitoring the weather, they are indispensable in our daily lives.